this Tuesday evening. Big breakthrough achieved between Iran and the United States during the second day of nuclear talks. We can now report that both the countries have reached an understanding. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Arachi says the path of a deal has started, but serious issues still remain to be resolved. Tehran and Washington have been meeting in Geneva in talks mediated by Oman. The discussions follow repeated U.S. threats against Iran over its deadly crackdown on protesters last month, but also about Iran's nuclear activities. On another note, Iran has announced a temporary closure of the Strait of Hormuz today for live-fire military drills, and the Iranian Supreme Leader has threatened to sink a U.S. warship. Joining me now from London is our reporter Shabnam Nasimi, who has been keeping a keen eye on the developments. To set the scene of where we are now, Shabnam, this is the incredible military backdrop by the US being developed in the region right now, but also by Iran's IRGC, who have been conducting exercises in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, Shabnam, when we hear President Trump saying that he also wants a regime change, just how close are we to getting that deal?
Hello, Sahil. Thank you for the question. Well, the Iranian state TV has reported that today in Geneva have wrapped up after almost 3 hours in the Swiss conference rooms. Iran's foreign minister Arachi gave an upbeat and optimistic readout of the talks that the sides have reached an understanding on the main guiding principles and would move towards drafting text, but and also a full agreement. What a guiding principle in these discussions are is still up for us to figure out. But Iran has said that negotiations would be indirect and will only focus on Iran's nuclear program and not domestic policies, including its bloody crackdown on protests last month. And as we've seen, there's a build-up now of US military presence in the region, much higher than what it was last week. President Trump has said that the USS Gerald R Ford, the world's largest aircraft carrier, has moved from the Caribbean Sea to the Mideast to join other warships and military assets. It has built up in the region. It's almost 700 kilometers away from Iran now, and there are now 12 warships in the Middle East. There are 8 air bases that the US could use across the region, and there's been an increase in the number of fighter aircrafts that are visible for most of those who work in open source intelligence at bases in Jordan that have been verified. And I think from what I'm hearing, military experts are saying that these latest developments show that the US has more depth and sustainability than it did with Venezuela a couple of months ago, meaning Trump can gradually ramp up pressure as was the case in Venezuela, while countering all potential responses from Iran.
So clearly, Shabnam, what I'm understanding from what you just said is that there are multiple layers to this story. I was just reading through comments on our YouTube feed from one of our viewers of South Era Network, and he was interested in knowing in what is at stake for both Tehran as well as for the US.
Well, look, I've had a conversation with a few friends who work in open source intelligence and have been tracking ships and aircraft in the region, and they've said very clearly that if things play out the same way as Midnight Hammer, which was the code name for the US attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities in June 2025, it will show that a strike is imminent. We also heard actually a few hours ago that Iran's Supreme Leader threatens to sink US warships as the nuclear talks continue. He actually said that a warship is a dangerous device, but more dangerous than that is a weapon that can send that warship deep under the sea. We've also heard in the last couple of hours that Iran has announced the temporary closure of the Strait of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf for live military drills in a very rare show of force. And I think, look, what's really at play here is that President Trump has also made it clear that he wants to push for regime change. There are many, many hands at play here. We have the talks between the Iranian foreign minister and President Trump's representatives. At the same time, a military buildup and calls from the Iranian community, both inside Iran and outside, for regime change and the collapse of this Islamic Republic. So it's all very unclear as to where this is heading, but there's definitely no one way out, and it's...
Right. It's a fast developing story. Shabnam, Nasimi, there are people reporting live from London, helping us understand, putting that story into perspective. We are going to be on the top of all of those developments, so stay tuned.